ready? I'm Kathy Shepherdson. I am the founder of Conscious Space, a zero-waste organics herb shop located in Fort Myers, Florida. And today I'm here to share with you a Q&A video. I've collected a whole bunch of questions people have asked me regarding how I opened the shop, how I'm keeping it running in the face of a global pandemic, where I got the money from, what keeps me going, and all of that good stuff. So let's get started. Do you need to calculate stock or market research? I don't have any stocks. Market research, I didn't really need to because I was my own customer. When you're starting a business, you want to think, who is my target audience? And I was my own, which is the easiest way to start any business, is be your own customer. I knew there was demand, I knew it would take off, so I just kind of trusted my gut. If you're starting a business and you're not your own customer, you need to do a lot of research to understand what their needs and wants are. I'm in a college town, so pretty much all young eco-friendly students on Instagram, which is pretty much the only platform that I use for marketing and advertising. You can just select like 30-mile radius around Conscious Space, or you can target everyone globally who are searching organic, refill, zero waste, sustainability. In the beginning of the shop, when I was just a physical store, I only did it geographically because it wasn't going to benefit me for California people to follow me when I didn't have an online store. But now that I do have an online shop, I do both. How did you start the business? Where did you start? Honestly, I feel weird saying this, but my business was really easy to take off because there was such a huge need in the market here in Fort Myers. It gets hard when you're trying to start a business and the market either doesn't need it, they don't know they need it, or when the market is so oversaturated that there's no way to distinguish you from competitors. I don't want to discourage anyone who has a dream, no matter how many obstacles there appear to be. There's always going to be obstacles. If you really believe you have something unique and special here, and if you don't think that your product or service is very unique, well, ask yourself how you can make it unique and how you can go about creating an experience for people that is unique. And also trust yourself that your creativity is always expanding. So if you have that feeling, if you have that spark, that intuition right now, but your mind can't like figure out the details, trust yourself that it'll come to you if you just continue doing your passion and doing your research and going further down that road. Don't stop just because there's a blockage. How did you do the initial advertising for Conscious Space? How I announced the shop's opening was I posted it on my Instagram after everyone thought that I had gone to Maui forever and was living off grid. I think I made two. I was like, sneak peek, something big is happening, surprise, I'm back in Florida. The reason it spread so fast, I think, and the reason that word of mouth was so effective was because there was a huge gap in the market, and that kind of compensated for my lack of putting it out there. If you are starting a business, you really need to ask yourself, is what I'm creating going to benefit my community? Why am I doing it? Is it to create profit, or is it for the greater good? Because a profitable idea is not enough reason to start a business. I'm sure many will disagree with that, but it's just a lot easier and just so much more fulfilling and worthwhile to start something that you're truly passionate about that will help those around you. When you're providing something that the people want, that is supporting the community, that is supporting the earth, that is regenerative and really beautiful, people want to support that stuff because it's unique. How did you create your business model? So the current business model is a brick and mortar store with an add-on online shop. This is considered a hybrid business model. It's our goal to stray away from big business and 100% support locals. It's kind of impossible to do 100%, especially as an herb shop, because a lot of the herbs just don't grow here. I really had to get inventive because that's just the reality of starting an eco-friendly business, a sustainable, a zero waste, a refill business, because it's just unpopular. So we kind of have to rewrite the rules and make up our own game. Leanne Bronzo asks, what have you found to be the most popular and in-demand products? I pulled this list from my inventory system. It gives me different charts and graphs and all that stuff. And it says laundry detergent, soaps in general, my refill soaps like dish soap, body soap, hand soap, all those. Tinctures, so the plant medicines seem to be really popular. mostly because they're just not offered anywhere else, especially made locally. Deodorants and the chocolate espresso beans, they go so fast. People love those things. Lil Nature Baby asks, How much of your inventory is locally sourced and bought from other local businesses? So 2/3 of the shop is local. The rest is bought wholesale online, and even when buying wholesale, I try to support from Texas instead of California, you know, as close as possible to the shop, just to mitigate, to reduce the carbon footprint is very important to me. But if there is a store, say in California, that is doing refill, where I just mail back a giant like plastic envelope that gets refilled for a lifetime, I'd rather support someone in California doing that than someone who only sells things by the gallon jug in Texas. Does that make sense? Yes. I have almost, I want to say like 30 makers in the shop, and we only started out with like 6. How do you make enough profits to cover overhead? Overhead expenses, for those of you who don't know, include accounting fees, advertising, insurance, interest, legal fees, labor burden, rent, repairs, supplies, taxes, telephone bills, travel expenditures, and utilities. Of all of those, I really don't have too many overhead costs, but my costs are pretty low because rent is pretty cheap here. So how do I make those profits? I just work really hard and try to do the best I can. Is there licensing involved besides being a basic? To start a business, you need to declare yourself, whether you are an LLC, a partnership, a corporation, or a sole proprietor. Those are 4 of the main business models that you can, or legal structures of a business. I'm an LLC, and yeah, it just depends on what kind of business you want to start. I was always taught to never become a sole proprietor unless you are a painter or unless you want to get sued. Just putting that out there. Did you take business classes before starting a business? So yes, I did go to school. I was a business major at Florida Gulf Coast University, studying marketing for 3.5 years before my last semester, where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I changed it to integrated studies, which is like a build your own major. I took yoga class and I took gardening permaculture class. Yeah, I did a complete 360. Which I'm so grateful for. There was no choice in my mind. I was like, I hate this and I have to. Yes, did I find value in school? Absolutely. Not necessarily because of my major and what classes I was taking, but I learned how to build connection, self-exploration. I learned how to do stuff you really hate, but you have to do anyway. I learned perseverance. I learned writing skills, research skills, community importance. I just learned so much. Do I think it's for everyone? Absolutely not. Do you know what guarantees you will start a business and become an entrepreneur more than going to business school? It's starting a business, and you don't need a degree to start a business. Anyone can start a business. Yeah, you don't need a degree to start a business. Just like get that in your mind. If you think that you have to go to school and spend all this money, you don't. You can use all that money for your business instead. How much did you invest? So I invested $10,000 roughly into Conscious Space. I did get loans from my parents. They each lent me about $2,500, so I covered 5. I worked a lot of jobs in college, like a lot. I worked so hard. I was working 3 jobs while taking 6 classes for like 2 years, just doing all the gigs. And I was a good saver. I'm not too much of a consumer. I'm definitely more on the minimalist side of things. So I saved a lot of my money, and I sold everything I owned, pretty much everything I owned before going to Maui, which helped me out a lot. And when I was in Maui, I lived for free on a permaculture farm. I did a work trade, so yeah. How did you find your space that is affordable and suited to you? You know, I went on Craigslist while I was in the jungle. I climbed to the top of the hill. I went into the laundry room where there was the only functional space with Wi-Fi. And right outside of that tumbling dryer, I looked for an office space. And this place was one of the first places that I saw, and it did not look like this. It was hideous. It was like an ancient telephone booth with stucco all over the walls and like these little cubicles cemented to the wall, and hideous like carpet flooring. And when you entered, there was like a square structure in front of you, so you couldn't even see anything. When you opened the front door, you just stared at a blank wall, and then you had to like go through this little crevice. It was just like It was a disaster. So took it all out, started all over. When you're on a budget, you just gotta work with what you've got. I actually wrote down every single thing that I wanted out of my space while I was in Maui. I wanted long windows, I wanted beautiful, gorgeous, natural lighting. I wanted white walls, I wanted wood flooring. I literally wrote that I wanted it to feel like a tree house, and I'm on the second floor overlooking all these beautiful trees, a native little Florida ecosystem out there. And yeah, manifestation is real, folks. The law of attraction, it works. Try it. What are you going to lose? Just write it all down. Just put all of your love and intention into it. And watch your dreams come true. Has business been profitable? Yes. It better be. The community is so amazingly supportive. Also, a reason why the business is doing well is because I'm supporting local artists. So we're just holding each other up. What has been the toughest part of owning a small business? The first thing that comes to mind is time management. Sleeping is now one of my favorite activities as a human because I enjoy it much less frequently than when I did before. Learning how to use my energy effectively probably is what I'd say is the most important. Learning how to say no. No, I'm sorry, I need to save my energy to make my dreams come true. I've had to become really selective about how I give myself away. And if I do give myself away, I have to make sure that I am receiving a return. That is what a closed loop regenerative system is. That is what permaculture is. Cutting away things that aren't serving me has been essential. That is something that I do every day. How can I live in greater harmony with myself and my community? That's been really hard for me. So if you're a giver, if you're a server, if you're a nurturer, all these things, you deserve yourself. You deserve yourself. It's just an exchange, an energetic exchange. How do you balance work life and self-care? What I put in is what I get out. If I'm afraid of moving forward, the business does not move forward. In that way, the shop is a direct reflection of me. It is an extension of me. Routine is something that I've always resisted, but so desperately need. Meditation, yoga, journaling, mindfulness, all of these things to help me ground and center and come back to myself when it gets really crazy and chaotic in here, which happens just about every day. What was your greatest obstacle or setback? The greatest obstacle is not anything in the physical. It doesn't have to do with the shop. It doesn't have to do with starting the business. It doesn't have to do with rent and the legalities and the technicalities and the officialities and all of those things. It has to do with your mind. Doubts and negativity from yourself and from others too. I have received so much support since opening the shop. When you ask this question, the first things that come to mind are the 2 or 3 that were really hurtful, discouraging, doubtful, and just negative. I isolated myself for a month when I came back to Florida. I told 2 people I was back. One of the people I told really discouraged me and made me question whether I should do this in the first place. It made me realize the value and importance of surrounding yourself with people who support you, because you don't need that in your life. I wonder if I had told everyone and spread my energy so thinly, I wonder if I would be here right now. After that first conversation, it was not looking good for me. But I'm glad that I told 2 people, because the second time it was really positive, so. Yeah. People will always have their thoughts. Even about filming this video, I had someone tell me, are you sure you're gonna do this? Are you gonna tell everyone all your secrets, the behind the scenes? Someone's gonna steal your plan, and then you're gonna go out of business and you're gonna struggle, and are you sure you wanna do that? And it's just create an impenetrable force field around your mind and do not listen to anyone but yourself. You know your dream, you know how to get there, and then even if you don't, you are the one who's going to figure it out. No one else. The people who have achieved their dreams and gone after what they want wholeheartedly, they're just going to support you and want to hear what you have to say. So be extremely selective about who you're telling your dreams to.